A boy who loses his family at a young age, but has a secret that the Chinese emperor sends an army to find him until terrible things happen. So I suggest you stay with me until the end of this fascinating anime. Hello guys, welcome to Animo Time channel. For today's video, we have a recap of a well-made anime called Sword of the Stranger. So before we start, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel, which is a big support for me. In the first scene, we see a temple burning and a boy named Kotaro and his dog named Tobimaru escape from the temple. A man named Xuan, who was actually the temple's sensei, tells Kotaro that he should go to Mangako Temple in Akaika province and look for Master Zakai. Kotaro goes to the temple with his dog. In the next scene, we see that Lord Akaika has allowed the Chinese fighters to build an altar on his land in exchange for gold. However, a fight occurs between Akaika's men and Ming fighters. A professional Ming fighter named Luolang single-handedly destroys the entire army, but he isn't satisfied because he is looking for a worthy opponent. Let's go back to Kotaro and Tobimaru. These two come across an abandoned temple on their way. Then, Kotaro finds some food and suddenly they meet a stranger who introduces himself as Nanashi. Kotaro asks him to leave the temple, but Nanashi ignores him. In the next scene, we see Lord Akaika and his trusted warrior looking at the Ming people who are building a fortress, but they don't know what their goal is. Kotaro is eating and doesn't want to give food to Nanashi, but Tobimaru likes this stranger and gives him his own food. Suddenly, a number of Ming warriors attack to capture Kotaro. It turns out that Kotaro is a child who must be sacrificed to make the elixir of immortality. At first, Nanashi decides not to interfere, but changes his decision and kills the fighters. But Tobimaru gets wounded and poisoned by a dagger to save Nanashi's life. Kotaro asks Nanashi for help to save his dog's life because the next town is far away and he can't get there in time by himself. Kotaro offers a valuable object to Nanashi as a reward and asks him to become their bodyguard in addition to saving Tobimaru. On the way, Nanashi asks Kotaro why they are chasing you, but Kotaro doesn't tell him anything. They finally manage to reach the doctor and treat Tobimaru, but there is still no definite hope for Tobimaru's survival. At the same time, we see Ming's men led by Bai Luan find the corpses of the soldiers in the abandoned temple, which furthers their search for Kotaro. The next morning, Nanashi wants to go to the town and get a new saddle for the horse, but Kotaro is not very happy with this. But finally, Nanashi convinces him. On his way back, Nanashi runs into Luolang people. Luolang suspects him and asks him to fight, but Nanashi doesn't take out his sword and doesn't attack. Fortunately, during the fight, before something bad happens, news of Bai Luan reaches Luolang and he has to leave the fight unfinished. This incident causes Nanashi to arrive late at the cottage, which is why Kotaro suspects that Nanashi went to the town to sell him out because they put a bounty on Kotaro. During the discussion, Tobimaru regains consciousness, which makes Kotaro happy, and later apologizes to Nanashi for his rude behavior. In the next scene, we see Luolang going to Bai Luan to discuss the plan of the next moves. In this scene, we understand that the emperor needs Kotaro's blood to make the elixir of immortality, and the ceremony of sacrificing Kotaro should be held as soon as possible, because this ceremony can be held once every 100 years. Kotaro and Nanashi become closer as Nanashi teaches Kotaro how to ride a horse. In the next scene, we see Lord Akaika imprisoning one of Ming's men, but that Ming soldier doesn't say anything despite being tortured during the interrogation. Lord Akaika hires a person named Itadori to interrogate the prisoner. On the other hand, Luolang hires more people to find Kotaro as soon as possible. Then we see that Kotaro and Nanashi have left the town and headed towards the temple. The two bathe in a place where Kotaro notices the wounds on Nanashi's body. He asks Nanashi what is the reason for the wounds, and Nanashi says that they were because of the wars, and that I have fought for different masters, but now I am a free fighter who doesn't serve anyone. Then we see that Nanashi's hair is actually red, but he turns his hair black with a substance. Night falls and Kotaro talks to Nanashi. He tells him that my parents died at a young age and I used to live in Ming and the only people I have are Tobimaru and Xuan. Suddenly, some thieves attack them and Nanashi easily defeats them and takes their money. Bai Luan tells Luolang that the emperor is angry that the child has not been found yet and you must find the child as soon as possible. Luolang suggests postponing the ceremony, but this makes Bai Luan nervous and insults Luolang. At Lord Akaika's camp, Itadori finally manages to interrogate the prisoner and now they know everything about the altar. Nanashi and Kotaro continue their journey. During the journey, Kotaro realizes that Nanashi never uses his sword and wakes up at night with nightmares. He asks Nanashi the reason for these, but he doesn't tell him anything. Finally, Kotaro and Nanashi arrive at Mangako Temple. Kotaro is happy when he sees Schwan, who has reached the temple safely. When Nanashi is about to leave the temple, Kotaro tells him that what I offered you wasn't valuable and I tricked you. Nanashi smiles and leaves the temple. When Kotaro enters the temple, it is revealed that Schwan and Zakai were traitors and sold Kotaro to Ming's men. The Ming people don't trust the monks, so they attack them to kill everyone. The fight causes Nanashi to notice the commotion and rush back to the temple. He tries to follow Kotaro, but his horse is killed and he can't save Kotaro in time. He confronts Schwan about what happened and learns about the ceremony that is going to be held. Nanashi tells Schwan that you are a coward. Schwan says that if it was you, you would do the same thing. Nanashi leaves the temple and goes after Kotaro. Then we see that Schwan committed suicide because he couldn't forgive himself for what he had done. Akeka's warriors enter the temple and learn about what happened. The night of the ceremony comes and Luolang takes Kotaro to the altar. He asks him about Nanashi, but he says nothing. Then we see that the Ming have taken Lord Akeka hostage and Itadori and Akeka's warriors enter the fortress. Itadori isn't interested in negotiations and kills Lord Akeka himself, then attacks the fortress with his small army. Nanashi and Tobamaru arrive at the ceremony, but Nanashi is knocked out due to an explosion. Then we see a flashback and it becomes clear that the reason he doesn't use sword is that he once accidentally killed an innocent woman and a child with his sword. Nanashi wakes up and realizes that the only way to save Kotaro is to use his sword. The executioner wants to kill Kotaro when Tobamaru arrives and distracts him, and Nanashi kills him by throwing his sword. Itadori challenges Luolang to a fight, and when the two are about to fight, Bai Luan kills Itadori with his gun and tells Luolang that we don't have enough time. Nanashi fights with the people of Luolang to reach Kotaro. Suddenly, Nanashi hangs from the edge of the altar and is about to fall when Kotaro comes to his aid. Bai Luan aims his gun at Nanashi to kill him, but Luolang stops him and kills Bai Luan instead because he finally found a worthy opponent. Even though Nanashi's hands are injured, he accepts Luolang's challenge and fights with him. After a long and terrible fight between the two, Nanashi finally succeeds in killing Luolang with a broken sword. Kotaro puts Nanashi on a horse and takes him to another town to treat his wounds. In the final scene, we see that these two talk to each other about what to do to continue their lives and discuss about becoming pirate, and the movie ends. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.